Hi everyone! So, welcome to my first ever Pick a Card reading. For those of you who are new to Pick a Card reading, this is a free general reading for a group of people or for the collective. So, depending on the topic, you choose a particular pile that you are drawn to, and that's your reading. So, there's no right or wrong pile here. And you can also be drawn to one or more than one pile or even all the piles if you want. But some of the contents of the reading may not all resonate with you because remember that this reading is for a group of people. So the reading actually tries to find the most common qualities, common description, common experiences for certain groups of people. So with that, you take what resonates with you and leave the rest. But if you want a more specific reading that speaks more about you, about your particular circumstances, I am also now open to reading tarot and oracle cards for others, for you. So you can send me an email for inquiries in case you are interested to book a reading with me. And my email address is in the description box of this video. So now, on to the reading itself with the topic, what is that unknown inner obstacle that you can overcome in 2023? So to choose your piles, I have picked cards from the Crystal Grid deck of Mystic Mondays. For the first pile, I pulled Sugilite. So this is for pile number 1. You can see it here. Oops, that was shaky. And I put it here. There you go. Now for pile number 2, I've pulled out the Cuprite crystal, as you can see here. You can have a closer look. And then I'll put it here. And then for pile number 3, I've pulled the green Aventurine for you, as you can see here. So you can have a closer look at the crystal. So these are piles 1, 2, and 3. And you can pause the video if you like to take your time choosing your pile. And once you've made your choice, the timestamps for your pile is at the description box. So see you on your reading. Hi, pile number 1. So you've chosen Sugilite, which I'll place here. And I'll describe how the reading will proceed. So first, I'll describe you at present. And then second, the potential qualities that you can develop in 2023, the next year. And then third, what are your unknown obstacles that you can overcome next year or in 2023? And last is our extra oracle advice cards that I pulled out for you. So for your first part, I picked an archetype for you, and your archetype card for this pile is Knight. Light attributes: loyalty, romance and chivalry, a love of honor. Shadow attributes: allegiance to a destructive ruler, principle, romantic delusions. You don't have to take the shadow attributes, especially if it doesn't resonate. But for me, I go normally by the visual image or the title on the title card, the title of the card itself when I read your personality as I go about it later. So that's your archetype representing who you are at the present. And I also pulled one Star Child Tarot for you for your present qualities, who you are at present as I describe you. And this pile number 1 got the 2 of Swords, as you can see here. It's pretty. And I'll place it there. Okay, so pile number 1, you are someone who easily lends a helping hand to others. You don't hesitate to stand up for those who are in the for those who need a helping hand, or for those who are the outcasts, for example, or those who are feeling helpless, you don't hesitate to lend a helping hand to them. In fact, looking at this card, actually, chivalry. So you are someone who have a set of standards, a set of principles for yourself that you adhere to. People would deem you as a principled purpose, in a sense that you have you respect others, you're respectful of how you treat others, and in the same way you treat them fairly, and you have high standards actually, and you do adhere to them. And you know, like a knight in shining armor, you know, you are wearing your armor, you have your horse here, looking very valiant. You are someone who's brave, and others consider you as honorable, and some of you can even be considered as idealistic. And with that, actually, you're also somewhat of a curious person, actually, because knights normally they go off on adventures, right? And you like learning, especially when you learn more about people, about the world, different cultures. You also like to travel. See, this one is a card that's traveling in a way, the knight card here. And you also want to know more about people, different cultures, different countries, and you also believe that traveling can broaden your horizon. Sagittarian actually comes to mind, some Sagittarian qualities, but you don't have to be a Sagittarius, or you don't have to have Sagittarius in your birth chart in particular. But I'm just translating some Sagittarian qualities here. And for you, actually, you don't mind working hard and being patient to achieve your goals. And at the same time, of course, as you achieve your goals, you also are not, you don't hesitate to help others achieve their own goals too. And that makes you a very reliable person in the purview of other people. So, for pile number 1, people don't hesitate to ask you for help because they know you are capable, you are responsible, and they can rely on you to help them, to get them through their troubles. In fact, coming again from these attributes, people can tell that, or actually, I get the feeling that you are service oriented, and some of you don't even hesitate to take the leadership role, especially when no one's standing up to take it. You are willing when they ask you to be the leader. For example, in a group scenario, you are strong, and that's because you know you are strong, and you don't hesitate to take huge responsibilities for yourself. You are not afraid of that, actually, and you are capable of going after what you want. Like, again, knight, thinking of those high middle ages knights. Anyway, so because of that, you are someone who is can be purposeful with the way that you also approach things. And for this 2 of Swords, actually, more of these are air, element of air for Swords normally, and more of a Libra sign because there are 2 swords here. In the traditional Rider-Waite, the 2 of Swords is someone with 2 swords actually crossed, and then somehow it looks like a symmetrical 2 of Swords, but this one is not. One is holding it upright, and the one is holding it, dragging it behind, actually. So, actually, for this one, well, you are very service, people-oriented in a way, like chivalrous. Did I pronounce it correctly? Chivalrous. I think that's the correct pronunciation for this one. Well, you are that. You do have a tendency to neglect yourself, like that dragging sword behind, while you're helping on other people. Lord, normally there's a sort of a balance there. Maybe it's a Two of Swords traditional, but for this Star Child Tarot, it's a different Two of Swords, and I am seeing it at that for you, because of your sense of responsibility towards other people, you have a tendency actually to neglect yourself, or actually, this can also be interpreted in another way, that you have a tendency actually to avoid conflict. You don't like conflicts actually. You like peace, and if it's for the sake of peace, you also have that tendency for you, since you're conflict averse, to just hide yourself or some, or hide behind a false mask of peace, or just let it be. Let it be in a way that you let what you just give in to other people at the, of course, detriment of yourself in most cases actually. And I'm just thinking that at least for now, maybe I can add as early as now, but maybe because too much of always giving in is not good. And sometimes actually conflicts, for some of you, you have to see that conflicts can also be a healthy way for you to be able to overcome something, to be honest about what you want. So so far that's what I am seeing for this pile to describe you at present. And now I'll take the pile that describes the potential of who you can be in the future, in 2023. Qualities you can acquire, that you can develop. So I pulled out another archetype card, and for you, you have the potential to be the Fool. Of course, not like literally fool, like in a negative way, but I'll read the light attributes and the shadow attributes. And as I've mentioned in the for the Knight, when I was describing the Knight earlier, then normally I go by the description or the imagery, but you can also take what resonates, and especially shadow attributes. If it doesn't resonate, normally you don't have to go about it. But for the light attributes, fearlessly revealing emotion, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. And then for the shadow attributes, using humor to wound rather than liberate, denial of your emotional truth. So that's the potential of who you can be. Put it up more. Just erasing the camera, or maybe I'll adjust my camera a bit. Better. Yep, better. Can see it. I want it to look organized. And actually, normally I'll just pull one Star Child Tarot together with the archetype card, but I pulled two Star Child Tarot for your pile. So for pile number 1, first you have the Magician. You can see the image here. The rainbows here represent the 7 chakra colors. Put it here. I can't see the mission. There you go. And then your other card is the Page of Swords from the Star Child Tarot. Okay. So, well, I told you that normally not to take it literally as you becoming a fool, like fool in the strictest definition of the dictionary. Of course, not like that. So, you have the potential in 2023 to become or to adhere to these qualities. For the Fool, actually, this reminds me of the Fool in the Tarot, Major Arcana. So that's one is, if in the traditional rider way, it's someone like carefree, like going about, like feeling free. So with that actually, and here being fearless in the description of the Fool here, you have the potential to be someone who's you're already brave here, but for this one, more of this one removing his mask. The Fool here and the Fool in the major arcana is someone who's really carefree, doesn't care. More of the not caring part is not caring about the world in general per se. So for this one, it's you being not so rigid, not so strict, because a knight normally is someone who can be rigid at times, especially with your standards for yourself. Actually, as a knight, you are harder to yourself than towards others. And for the next year, for 2020, you have now the potential to let that armor off. See, the full year is removing the mask. So feeling not so restricted, not so burdened with responsibilities, since I've mentioned earlier that you have a tendency to shoulder responsibilities, even responsibilities that shouldn't belong originally to you. So this one is for you to be more carefree, actually. And in a sense that not being so rigid here is for you to be more of letting go of your armor, not being so defensive in a way. That could also be for some. Not being so defensive and restrictive at the same time, and being free actually from self-doubt, because normally people who are defensive, they are actually some of those who actually have feelings of insecurity, and insecurity normally stems from self-doubt. So for the coming 2023, you have the potential to overcome that sense of insecurity about yourself. Yes, you might appear, you are strong to the world, you are, yes, and you are really strong, but still, you're not perfect. You're still wearing your armor to the world. But next year, you do have the potential to be this one. And aside from that, also, let's go to the other cards. The Magician here is you being more confident about yourself, because the Magician has all the tools that it needs. In the fish in the Rider-Waite tarot, you can see that he has the elements of, he has the sword, he has the coins, he has the that's pentacles, rather, pentacle, sword, cups, and wand. I was thinking which ones I'm missing. So the same here in this imagery, have all the tools that you need. Those, right? Yep. And not only that, those four, as I've mentioned, I'm seeing the 7 chakras here. The root chakra, sacral chakra, the solar plexus chakra, the heart chakra, throat chakra, the third eye chakra, and the crown chakra. So mastery, being aligned, being balanced, you have that potential to be in 2023. Of course, it's a great card to get. The Magician is one of the more powerful cards in the tarot deck, actually. And Page of Swords. Page of Swords, actually. Well, I was looking at this while I was meditating on the cards, and which I intuitively picked earlier. It's about because swords represent air communication. So here, unlike this one, you're dragging your sword. One of the swords that is not balanced. This one, you drag. They look compared to this one. If I can get this, yeah. This looks more confident, right? Standing with your own sword of truth. So with that, in comparison, you have the potential to be more confident for yourself, standing up for yourself when communicating to others. You're not afraid to communicate your own ideas. Actually, one of the things that came to mind when I saw the Page of Swords, page being the least, at least in the court cards page, you have knights, kings, and queens, so the more infant one. But you at the onset developing how to communicate for yourself, not being so restricted, at the expense of yourself, sacrificing yourself for others. Actually, you'll learn how to set boundaries with others, and you will not be afraid to communicate, to say no to other people at the expense of yourself. That's the potential that you have for 2023. Put it that. See it, yes. I want to fix this. Or maybe I should move my camera. I'll move my camera. Okay. That's better. I want to fix it. I don't know why. Okay. So, for your obstacle that you are unaware that you can overcome. So that's the twist. Unaware obstacle that you can overcome in 2023 is actually this pile. Sorry, I was looking for this. I pulled another dark mirror oracle. If you watch my previous vlogs, you know that I have some fascination toward the dark mirror oracle, or some shadow. That sounded a bit creepy, but more of I'm not afraid actually to explore what's in the dark or what's in the shadows. Unlike most people, I realize now. So anyway, going back here, actually, the inner obstacle that you are unaware of, that you have within you, that you can overcome in 2023 is this card. You can see the imagery. Queen of my world. She's very beautiful. And I'll put it here. There you go. And actually, I'd like to read the the guidebook description for this one. And where did I put the guidebook description? I wanted to read the guidebook description, but I seem to have misplaced the guidebook at the moment. So I'll go intuitively directly with this one. And aside from my notes from it earlier. So for the Queen of my world, actually, this speaks about, I'll probably get this one, since I can't find the guidebook deck. Which I could have sworn I placed somewhere near me. So anyway, the Queen of my world. As you can see here, there's a queen trapped inside where she looks so fierce, and there's red reminding you of blood. So in the guidebook deck, actually, it describes that the queen, she's the queen of her own world. Outside, she doesn't care, but inside, she paid for it with blood, sweat, tears, to be the queen of her own world. And actually, tying this with your cards currently, it's you. Yes, you are strong, you are valiant, you are brave, but remember that you are human too. Beneath that armor, actually, well, you are flesh and blood. And that strength that you have, the reason that you can take lots of responsibility, that you are so capable, that you are so brave, because you paid for that with pain, with the things that the hardship, the difficulties that you've experienced. Remember the saying that what doesn't kill you make you stronger. You are that personified. Life was not able to bring you down. You were not broken by the difficulties that life actually brought to you. You are still standing In fact, you are so strong that you are standing and you are helping other people. So, um, with that knight, in a strong armor, even though you've experienced lots of difficulties, you are still there helping other people. But those people are unaware of the price that you have to pay to be strong, to be still standing, to be this confident and capable. But underneath this armor, you still have emotional wounds that you have left unattended because you have that tendency to ignore yourself in favor of other people. So you are actually, the wounds that was inflicted on you, emotional wounds, are trapped within you that you haven't addressed still, because deep down you actually locked yourself inside. You have a feeling that you're not worthy, that there could be something broken within you. That I'm not saying that you are broken, but you do feel that you are, for some of you, or there's something ugly inside you, and you try to redeem yourself of what you perceive is broken or ugly or undesirable inside of you by serving others instead, by helping others. So in that way, actually, what you do is that you seek validation that you cannot give to yourself from others, thereby not realizing that the only validation that you actually need in this life is something that others cannot give you. It's a validation from your own self. You are the one. Your own approval is the only approval that you will actually only need. You are the queen or the king of your own world. You are limitless. So stop restraining yourself and start being true to yourself by freeing yourself, by loving yourself more. And while I was meditating on pile number 1 also at your cards earlier, I wanted to give pile number 1 a hug, like virtual hug if I can. Because you guys are such a hard workers, always looking out for other people, that you are neglecting yourself. But you matter. You have to realize that. And you have to be true to yourself first and foremost. So with that, actually, I pulled two Akashic from the Akashic Tarot, 2 cards that can address how you can help overcome this obstacle of yours. So for the first Akashic Tarot that I pulled for you, 3 of Keys, the chess game. You can see here. I'll place here. And the next card is Lightning Bolt. The 8 of Forces, Lightning Bolt. The 3 of Keys is actually the 3 of Pentacles in the original Rider-Waite deck. So normally there's a collaboration picture as the original interpretation. And that's about teamwork, mastery, for example. But in this 3 of Keys, in the Akashic Tarot, as you can see here, there's a chess game. And the Queen has fallen here. So the 3 of Keys here still involves other people. But this not seamless teamwork, as you can see. In chess, normally there are opposing sides. So you know that there's a conflict where each side is after for their own selves. Each man for his own self, actually. So everyone has an agenda here. When you look at this card, agenda, of course, which is to win what they want for themselves. And in connection with how to resolve your conflict of you neglecting yourself, needing actually to care, love yourself more than you give out to other people. It's you actually being called to simply do that also for yourself. Become better at looking out for your own interests. You don't have to be afraid you'll be called out as being selfish. Please, out of all piles, seriously, the night you being selfish, you are not selfish. In fact, with your own principles, when you look out for your own self-interest, you do it from a place of thinking that you are not actually out to get something from other people. You are not stepping on other people's toes because you believe you not compete with them in a way, because you believe that there's enough blessing, there's enough abundance for everyone in this world, so there's no need to take from others. So how can that be selfish when you look out for your self-interest without affecting or taking from other people? So for you, this card is reminding you to start looking out for your own interest. You need to learn that you out of more I mean, I lost my train of thought with that, but you, compared to most people, should learn how to look for your own self-interest. And the bells are disordered a bit. So with this one, you have the Eight of Forces, the lightning bolt. Look at this picture. Actually, in the traditional Rider-Waite, this would depict 8 wands, like dropping down. Normally, it involves fast communication. And in this, in the Akasha Tarot, still the same. It's fast. Look, a lightning struck down this tree, and there's an ongoing storm. In fact, there's a puddle here, and this puddle would indicate that the storm has been ongoing for a while. So meaning, applying it on your situation, there are emotions brewing actually inside of you that you have been ignoring. Emotions calling out for you to start noticing. These emotions are calling for you to care more for yourself. And this has been brewing inside of you for the longest time. And the message here is actually quite similar to the Page of Swords that I've mentioned earlier, that for you, you should not be hesitant in communicating your own needs. And if you need to cut off people, cut off yourself from situations that doesn't benefit you, do so. Actually, for this pile for 2023, if I can translate that into more practical terms, if abracadabra is a magic word for you, your magic word for this year is simply no. You learn how to say no. So repeat after me. No, no, and no. You have to learn how to say no to other people and yes for yourself. Not just other people, no to circumstances that doesn't actually benefit you, that more than most people. Say no to it. For example, when someone from your job asks for your help because you're so capable, ask for help to do their job. For most of you, if not some, you're the type who'd say yes to helping people at work do their own job. You can actually say no to them, like no, but of course not in an argumentative way. That no, you're already busy. You know that. So you're not even obliged to help others, especially do their own work. They should have. And I believe when people ask you for help, that's not the first time. That's not even the second time. If you don't say no, that won't even be the last time. and you are not obliged to help them. You, more than most, has been helping other people, have already been helping other people. So in that scenario, let them learn to do their job properly. Or for example, another example that you can say no to, and I'm sure you have a hard time saying no to, is when a friend, because I have, so I don't want to show this one too much, but anyway, um, when you say no, for example, a friend calls you again, wanting to talk to you on the same problem, maybe different people, the same problem, and this friend keeps on repeating the same problem, and even though there are just different circumstances, you always give the same advice. So what's your magic word, pal number one? Say no. No. Because this friend will probably just want to dump emotions on you since they haven't really listened to your advice last time. They just want they just want someone to dump their emotions onto. And actually, in that scenario, if you'll recall, that friend who called you, you keep the same scenario all over again, and then after they felt so much better talking to you, and you, after giving the same advice or almost the same advice, you felt so drained. Because that's not something good for yourself. And learning to say no is for yourself. It's not wrong for you to care more for yourself, especially pal number one who has been so selfless already. And for you, saying actually no would actually maybe probably teach this friend to know your boundaries better, and maybe they'll learn that they keep repeating their cycles all over again, and trust them that they're adult enough to be able to solve their own problems without having you being their emotional dump. Because for this pile especially, I have a feeling that people always like to also call on you for them to just share their problems, share their problems. It's not even an equal exchange, because I doubt you share your problems to them and dump your own emotions onto this friend as well. It's an unequal exchange actually. So pile number one, your favorite word, your magic word for 2023 is no, no, and no. Learn that. Actually, you should learn that. Don't be afraid to cut off people. Don't be afraid to cut yourself out from situations that take from your time, that take from your resources. You should be always focused on yourself, because you, yourself, that should be your number one priority as a practice of unconditional self-love. Okay? I hope that's clear, pile number one. Now, for your extra oracle advice, from the Happy Little Things Oracle card, I pulled out this card for you. Smelling the flowers. So here, in smelling the flowers, of course, you can do it literally if you want to. I mean, not gonna stop you. But figuratively, it can also tell for you to just savor the small pleasures in life. You know, you don't have to be so serious. Well, because you don't have to be so responsible, especially for everyone all the time. Don't let the world rush you from one deadline to another, from one project to another, from one task to another. Learn to slow down. Hit that pause button. Take the time to relax. Take the time to give more to yourself. And with this one, connect more with nature. And when I say connect with nature, well, it can be literal, like here you go out, take that walk in the nearby park to clear your mind, or maybe have that short swim in the beach over the weekend. You can also do that. But connecting with nature actually also means that aligning yourself with nature. Meaning, you have to realize that we are nature. Ourselves, our body is nature. It doesn't exist outside of nature because we are part of it. We are it. We are nature. So, this card can also tell you to connect more with your physical body. You should spend more time um, out of your mental space, out of your head, out of your mental activities, and dedicate maybe a portion of your day just to what gives you joy or what it gives you physical pleasure. And you know what that means. This is not an R18 tarot, so it can go specifically to that, but generally you can also do that, or simple things that can be that you can find joy from. For example, like for my female pal number one, beauty rituals. Go to a spa, or have your nails done, your hair done, or at least at home, you pamper yourself more with your beauty rituals. And guys too can get their grooming, especially for the metrosexual guys from pal number one. You can do that. Or anything that sparks, I sound maricon on that, but sparks joy, yes. So, the message here of this card is connect with yourself more and savor the little things in life. So, that's your first oracle card. And your second oracle card comes from messages from the heart of the divine oracle, and this is it. I had to put this one because YouTube has this rule against nudity. Held by the divine mother, receive. So with that, actually, I'm gonna read finally found the card book then. With this one, let me read it for you. Held by the divine mother, receive. Beautiful child, you are so deeply loved, held, and supported. You do not have to carry all the weight of life on your shoulders or move through life on your own. Your path has made you independent. When you allow yourself to be nourished, allow your needs to be met, you have more energy to give to the world in return. Have you been turning away help or even acknowledgement from others? Have you been afraid to receive more prosperity, love, or divine guidance? Trust that things can be more easeful when you let down your guard and open your heart to receiving more love and support. When you allow your desires to flow into your life without force and your needs to be met. Not only are there people in your life who are here, part of your soul family with a soul contract to help you succeed and thrive, but your spirit team and the universe want nothing more than to support you fully as well. So, much prosperity is ready to flow into your life as there are more people who can help you reach your goals, but your heart must be open for all to flow. Trust that you are held every step of your journey. Anchor into your heart and allow love to support you fully. It's a very beautiful and very apt message for my pile number one. So for pile number one, the message says it all actually. You are worthy and you have to open your heart to receive all the love, all the support and blessings that you are wanting to flow into your life. You don't always need to fight for what is yours. You don't always need to be going after the things that you want. You are already worthy on yourself. You just need to learn to discover that you are worthy of love, that you're lovable. And actually, once you start realizing that you are lovable, that you are loving yourself unconditionally, the external world will actually love you back unconditionally, because as within, as without. So your internal world will reflect your external world, and you don't need to always fight battles to get what you want. As you continue to love yourself better and better unconditionally each day, say learning how to say no, looking out for your self-interest as you love yourself unconditionally, then the world will love you back unconditionally and you'll receive more blessings. And that's what you can achieve for 2023. So that's it for my pal number 1. If you like this reading, please don't forget to press that like button. And you can also subscribe to my channel to be notified of future readings like this one. So, see you on your next story. Hi, pal number 2. So, you've chosen earlier the crystal Cuprite. So, I'm going to place it here. I wasn't able to discuss the format earlier of the reading, so just to give you a brief rundown. So first, I'll describe you at the present, and then second, the potential qualities that you can develop in 2023. Third is the obstacle, the unknown inner obstacle that you can overcome in 2023, and what do you need to do, how to overcome, for example, this obstacle. And last part are oracle cards, extra advice that can be given to you given your situation. So for the first part, we have your first archetype card, which describes you at present, dilettante. The light attributes are delights in the arts without having to be a professional, alerts you to the danger of becoming superficial in your pursuits. Shadow attribute, pretension to much deeper knowledge than you actually possess. Now, for the archetype cards, I don't normally just go with the definition per se, and the shadow attributes are just there. Take it as it resonates. If it doesn't, then leave it be. But as I've mentioned in the previous file, I also go by the title and then the imagery when I describe you using the archetype cards. So let's place it here. Yep. And then for your Star Child Tarot card that would describe you at the moment is this, the Four of Cups. Oh, it's a cute cat. So let's play this like this way. So with that, who you are at the moment to describe you. So this has a Venus in a more of an Aquarian actually quality. So you are somehow detached, more logical, some of the air sign quality, so more open-minded, and then you are non-judgmental in a way, and you like looking for intellectual rapport when you are connecting with people. Like, background is not important for you. You love seeing people express themselves more authentically in a way. But for you, for this file, actually, as I've mentioned, you are, since this one has been doing a lot of things, as you can see here, you are open to doing a lot of things. You're the type that can be, for some of you, you can easily invite it everywhere, like watching movie today, then tomorrow someone will drag you to a shooting range, for example. Or you are also interested in an artistic or creative pursuit, as shown in the picture, but more of In a normal day-to-day circumstance, you're someone who tries not to get emotions get ahead of you. You try to be detached, especially for example at work or with your friends. You're that person who others will describe as not too emotional actually. And but you have this interesting contrast that while you are that, you actually you don't want to get too emotional, but you actually, or maybe unconsciously for some of you, expresses your emotions through other creative pursuits. Like for example, you can indulge in hobbies like as I've said here, painting, pottery, or you can be in fashion. For example, you can express your emotions through music, the music that you listen to. Or when I say fashion, for example, the way you dress, the way you apply your makeup, your accessories, the choices of colors that you put in your clothing can express how you feel. Because, well, you don't normally like to express with words or with your interactions or let others see how you or what you are feeling. But maybe unconsciously for you, or maybe some of you are aware that you do it in other ways. You express in emotions, and you express your emotions in some other creative pursuits. Um, and if you do have some creative hobbies like this, for example, like in the arts, you treat it more as a hobby for most of you. But your main work would actually be more of something where you can apply logic or more organized, more formal, more structured. And you have a sense of restlessness at times, a sense of boredom with this four of cups actually. And you don't, this feeling of restlessness or boredom, for some of you it can be a feeling of being stuck. In fact, there are also a tendency of you to become too focused at times with a particular matter, that you have a tendency of, like, she doesn't look that happy as you can see. So when you get too focused on a particular matter, you get the negative aspect. You somehow spiral down this overthinking, or you have a tendency to get this negative feeling to get hold of you, that you don't see the positives around you. Or for some of you, you do have unconsciously to take other things for granted or not see the blessings, because you get to be focused on just one particular matter at just one time. Or this can also be interpreted as actually you become focused on some other things that you tend to ignore your own emotions, and you keep these emotions at bay, you keep it bottled up deep inside, that actually this emotions that you've swept under the rug is actually making you feel a bit restless at times, because you've been suppressing this emotion for you. And with that, that's you at the moment. Let's see. Fixing the cards. For the potential of what qualities you can develop in 2023 for your archetype. For pile number 2, you have the Destroyer. So as I've mentioned, normally I go by the description or by the imagery or some words in the attributes, but the shadow attributes rarely, but take what resonates for you. But nonetheless, I'll read it. For the light attributes, releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for a new life. Shadow attributes, intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. Okay. So put it up here so we can see it better. So you can see the description better. And I actually pulled two Star Child Tarot for pile number 2 for your potential qualities to develop in 2023. So first off, you have the Queen of Cups. Beautiful. Put it here first. Or I'll adjust again my camera a bit better. And your next card is the Ten of Cups. And that's one of the best tarot cards that you can get in the deck. See here. So, potential to become, when I say destroyer, not destroy per se. Of course, you're not gonna rampage, like, I don't know, what's that movie? Godzilla, like, on the city, no. But more of you releasing what needs to be released for you to prepare for new life. In this imagery, actually, here, volcanoes, actually, you know, volcanoes, they do have a tendency to destroy, but they also have a tendency to create. That's a cycle. Through volcanic eruptions, we have new islands being created, especially for us who live around the Ring of Fire. Islands are being created from these volcanic eruptions. So that's why there's a preparation for new life after destructions. It's a cycle. Like death, transformation, actually, transformation. So here, you have the potential to release what is not released, that is something that's not benefiting you. And with regards to this one, it's you being freer about your emotions in 2023, releasing negative patterns, negative habits of you ignoring your own emotions, being too detached, being too logical, actually. Let's put it here. For this Queen of Cups is actually, well, it's not, I'm not saying this can apply for both female and male pile number 2. But the general description of the Queen of Cups is someone who is expressive emotionally. Someone, because you're able to express yourself emotionally, you're considered as a nurturing individual that is deeply in tune with your own emotional needs. And for some of you, because the Queen of Cups also speaks about spirituality, psychic abilities, intuition. For some of you, actually, being more in tune with your emotions can help unlock your psychic and spiritual gifts. And for some of you, being more in tune with your emotions will help you grow spiritually. Or well, as if you've watched my previous vlog, I don't identify with being religious, but more of being spiritual. So you have a potential to do that by actually releasing that pattern of being too detached and acknowledging your emotions, not keeping them bottled up inside. And see, there's another cups here. Cups. This pile number 2 really screaming emotions all over. You should be being more in tune with your emotions. And the Ten of Cups is actually one of the happiest card to pick in the tarot deck. The Ten of Cups speaks about happiness in all areas, normally happiness in all areas of family life, friendship, and love. It can also speak about heightened spiritual awareness or friendship and harmony. And actually, if you looked about it, our relations with other people are influenced by emotions as well. And we do connect with other people mostly because of an emotional need and an emotional pattern mostly. I'm not gonna go on those talk debate about at least maybe I'll rephrase what I've said. In honest connections that we have we're with other people, those are actually guided by emotions. That's why in being authentic to your own emotions, being honest about your emotions, and as I like to say, as within, as without, you actually also create better relationship with the external world, with your family, with your friends, with other people, as you become more in tune with your own emotions, a balance between logic and emotions in a way. So moving forward, we'll now proceed with what is the obstacle that you, inner obstacle, so obstacle within you, that you are unaware that you can overcome in 2023. So for your Dark Mirror Oracle card representing that inner obstacle that you are unaware of, we have Peaceful Among Thorns. You can see here. So there's a Buddha-like figure surrounded by steels behind him. A futuristic Buddha. You can put it here, and unlike pile number 1, I found the deck book for the Dark Mirror. So I'm gonna read the deck guidebook for this card for a moment. Okay, I'll get it and then I'll read it with another hand. So for Peaceful Among Thorns, there's a passage here stating that the spiritual cannot solve the material, but it can transcend it. So visually, it shows a futuristic monk. You can see here, his skin crossed by small circuitry, meditates in the lotus position. An 8-pointed star inscribed within a circle is at his back like thorns piercing the air. A golden lotus envelopes his body. So there's also a description here going the dark, so I can also read it for you and then I'll translate. We talk too much about spiritual stuff, spiritual that, spiritual this. Not that the spiritual side isn't important, especially in an age where everything seems reduced to a materialistic drive. But aren't we too much to the other side? I have a money problem. Go spiritual. I have a health problem. Go spiritual. I have a love problem. Think of true love and go spiritual. I want to have sex. Go spiritual. If we were truly able to solve problems like this, what is spiritual would have been sold in grocery stores. Sometimes to solve money problems, you need money. And to solve love problems, you need to CK. Maybe I can't say that here. But it's in the guidebook. Strange, but true. Getting spiritual is not what solves our problems. It is what gives depth to our solution. It makes them meaningful. It takes us from the small to the wide, from the river to the ocean. But sometimes we are not ready to make it our center. And therefore, it's perfectly fine if we do not. So, this one actually speaks Peaceful Among Thorns. At least that's the problem. For me, it can be interpreted because being spiritual, as I've said with the Queen of Cups, is actually connected with you connecting also to your own emotions. It's intertwined, and maybe I can explain that in another vlog, another vlog that I can produce in the future. But without delving too deep into how emotions are intertwined with spirituality, your obstacle here actually, it's for you that since you reject spirituality or you reject emotions because it's too impractical, as the guidebook deck has been saying, to rely on just your emotions or slash spiritual stuff. And that's blocking you, actually rejecting that emotional slash spiritual side of yours from leading a more fulfilled life, a more emotionally satisfying life. Because remember, while it's true that being too emotional or too spiritual doesn't help us solve problems, but being too logical doesn't actually help fulfill us, because at the end of the day, you are not a robot. You are human. You have emotions. You have emotional needs. So with that, as much as you want to try to be logical all the time or most of the time, you have to acknowledge that you are human, that you have an emotional side, and you have emotional needs that needs to be addressed, that needs to be fulfilled. So how to overcome this obstacle of rejecting your spiritual or rejecting your emotional side? Um, So for this pile, unlike other piles, normally I would just pick 2 Akashic Tarot, but you were able to get 3 Akashic Tarot. So for your first tarot, this tarot would describe, this tarot cards would describe how to overcome your obstacle. Well, unaware that now you're aware of because we've been discussing it. First off is, excuse me, Uriel and the Sphinx. Put it here first. Three of Forces, the Bird's Nest. I think should be here. And this one, the Divine Physician. I thought before he was Jesus Christ, but he was not. Upon further research. Just a little trivia. Okay, so I'll go first with Uriel and the Sphinx. So Uriel actually is one of the archangels. Well, he was not, well, they don't have gender, but I'll just use he right now. He's not mentioned in the Bible, at least in traditional Bible, but in some Jewish tradition or non-canonical books, Uriel was mentioned. And if 4 major archangels are gonna be mentioned, representing, for example, direction south, north, east, west, you'll have Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, and Uriel. Uriel is actually the archangel of wisdom. And here, this is the 21 card. This is actually the world card in traditional Rider-Waite. Uriel is facing the Sphinx. And here, the Sphinx is about mysteries. So the angel of wisdom, the archangel of wisdom, now facing the Sphinx of about mystery. So you can see here actually, since this is also the world card for you, and Uriel facing the mystery of the Great Sphinx, it's for you actually to do the most important work somehow of your life. Because again, if you've been reading, or if you know how I'm an advocate for unconditional self-love, that the most important priority of a person should be it's his or her own self. And this is for you acknowledging your wants, your needs, your inner truth, and your true self would actually involve your true feelings, your emotions. And that, for my pile number 2, is actually one of the most, if not the most difficult thing that you can work on. But remember the potential. It can give you 10 of Cups. That's the create what is the happiest 10 of Cups, and then 10 of Pentacles, happiest cards in Tarot actually. You have that potential. Um, you have to realize that you are and you will always be the most important job that you will ever have. And you have to get rid of the things that are not serving you. You have to chip away those substances that doesn't actually serve you. And actually, if you look about the contrast here in the card, because here you have wisdom and then mystery. So it's about known and then unknown. So logical, illogical. So logical, some things is logical, emotions, spirituality, unknown. It should be a balance between the two. You should, for you to be able to live a more fulfilling, emotionally fulfilling life. Because when you say fulfillment, deep inside of you, yes, for some people they may have all the material gains that they have, but do they really feel fulfilled? Get, and then you go to that word feel fulfilled. Fulfillment is a feeling also. So it's about you recognizing the importance of emotions in your life and creating that balance between logic and emotions within you. And how to do that? Also, well, there are other cards that we need to discuss. Just proceed with that first. This one, when I first saw this card, I thought it was Jesus Christ, but it was not. So upon further research, this was Tianket. I hope I pronounced that correctly in Irish. Tianket. So Tianket is a god of healing in Tuadedanon. Tuadedanon. Dedan. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. Pardon for botching Irish pronunciation. But that's a supernatural race in Irish mythology. Previously, I was just acquainted with the goddess Danu. But anyway, so he's the god of healing. And there was a story about him while I was more like reading about Irish mythology when I got to know that this is not Jesus. The second dish is, by the way, symbol of healing here. But there was one story about the Anchet that one of the gods in Tuatha called Dagda is his wife is pregnant with a baby, and that baby was foretold to be something that will destroy Ireland at that time. And the Anchet actually helped save Ireland or save the world technically at that time. When what he did was, when the baby was born, he operated on the baby. He opened the heart of the baby, and there were 3 serpents in that heart that was foretold. Those serpents would grow, devour actually a great and would create havoc in Ireland. So, and then what he did was open it at the onset, open the baby's heart, and then destroy those serpents. So with that story, actually, in connection with your pile, it's the same. Opening your heart, figuratively, of course. You start by acknowledge, well, hopefully, so you start opening your heart so it won't just erupt out of nowhere, especially bottle up emotions, but releasing gradually. So actually, a good way to do this is to start for you to acknowledge your emotions. When you feel sad, when you feel envious, when you feel lonely, you have to remember, my pal number 2, that there is no right or wrong emotions. So do not be afraid to examine your emotions. You have to know, you have to inculcate in your mind that you are not your emotions. So what do I mean by that? Even when you feel envy, you are not an envious person. If you feel jealous, you're not a jealous person. Stop with the labels. Stop labeling yourself with your emotion, because those labels are being perpetuated to keep you stuck from facing your own emotions, thinking that you're a bad person. But that's not correct. Stop labeling yourself with every emotion that you feel. You have to know, you have to do this. If you do this, if you label yourself with the emotions that you feel jealous, therefore you're a jealous person, then you let your emotions control you. You have to turn it the other way around. Be the driver of your emotions. Take control of your emotions, because emotions, they're not your enemies though. They are just your compass. They are there to tell you, for example, that you are on the verge of a breakthrough, on how you can heal yourself further, especially the negative emotions. Emotions, normally the negative ones, can be linked to a trauma, to an emotional wound that you were unaware that you have. So, maybe I can give you a concrete example on how you can befriend, or no, make your emotions your ally, but not let it control you, not let it label you. So before, I speak, well, still does, but not as fast as before. I used to speak very fast before, and people who knows me knows this very much. And I hate that part of me. I hate it. I dislike it. My bosses would comment that I do have a tendency to cut off people when they are talking, and I speak fast. But deep within me, that happens when my emotions get hyped up. I get defensive, then explain myself too much. But there's that feeling, hating that part of me, feeling anxious about this trait, feeling defensive about this. So since I feel insecure, I thought I was an insecure person by then. But that one actually, about this comment, I had to turn it around. I had to not label myself as an insecure person. But I felt insecure. This is a feeling for me. Again, and I guess for some of my pile number 2, because I am channeling this example, some of my pile number 2, probably some of you, since you guys are overthinkers. Well, most of your overthinkers, you might probably been told in the past that you also say too much, that you over explain, for example, and you don't like that label. So going back to my example, I had to turn it around. I had to learn that, to tell myself that I am not an insecure person, although I feel insecure. So when I flipped the label in my head, it's as if I am finally taking control of my emotions. So when I told myself that I am not an insecure person, but I feel insecure, I felt more comfortable with the feeling of insecurity, in a way that I was willing to explore further. Where did this insecurity come from? Especially with the way I talk. When I talk fast, or I had a tendency then to cut off people unconsciously and unintentionally. I used my emotions as a compass, because I told you your emotions are a compass. It's not a driver of you. It's your compass to help you navigate through life. So it was then when I was feeling insecure about the way that I speak fast, and then I tended to cut off people unconsciously. Then when I acknowledge that it's just a feeling, it's not a label, I started not berating myself when I've been doing it unconsciously then, or scolding myself. And then eventually I sat down with myself, and then somehow through some meditation, through some journaling, and I reflected on this, and well, I was being honest with feeling I had to dissect it, because since I was comfortable with my emotions, even the negative ones, I became more honest with it, and I accepted it and tried to find the source of why am I feeling this way. And this led me to the realization that me speaking fast or having a tendency to cut off people then was linked to a childhood trauma that I had, a childhood trauma of mine. And maybe I am channeling this story because some of my pile number twos have similar experiences in the past, and maybe this can also help you heal your own trauma as well. So as I was saying, this was linked to a childhood trauma of mine, and I realized that I was silenced a lot during my childhood. I was not able to express myself, that I felt abused, that I felt neglected. So growing up, when I finally got a chance to speak out, there's still a feeling of me feeling defensive, or when my emotions were heightened, then I get triggered. So it was like a defense mechanism for me to actually speak fast. And when I cut off people, that was a defensive mechanism from my childhood trauma of not being able to express myself. So once I became aware of this trauma, because I started acknowledging these negative emotions of insecurity, I became more mindful with the way I speak, and I was able to reconceptualize the memory in my head of what happened. So I am healing that trauma of mine, and that healing, that emotional healing, actually was making me more feel secure now, bringing me more of my 10 of cups. So same with you. That's just an example of how, for example, you can use your negative emotions as a compass. You don't label yourself with your emotions. Your emotions are just there to guide you. So you can be more comfortable with your negative emotions or even positive ones, because at least for my pile number two, what you don't like is to get too emotional, is for you to get too negatively influenced by your emotions. That's what you don't like. But again, I'm telling you, it's possible for you to befriend, to let your emotions, especially the negative ones, be your guide to a breakthrough. Because when it's there, when you feel it, you finally become aware of it. That, oh, there's a feeling of insecurity. Where is this coming from? And then when you explore, you'll finally realize where it's coming from. And then you have your breakthrough. You finally have your breakthrough. So you can be your Queen of Cups, you can be your 10 of Cups. You can release this trauma, this emotional wounds that you've probably had, because no one in this earth has been exempted from becoming emotionally wounded from an experience, or from any experience at all, because that's part of life. That's part of life, being emotionally wounded. No one is exempted from that. So with that, that's your first I delve deeper, but I hope that particular story of mine was able to help someone out there process their emotions better, at least the negative ones, on how to befriend it. But I have to get to this Three of Horses. The Three of Horses actually is in the traditional rider weight is the Three of Wands. So this is about Aries energy, more of expansion, starting new things. And here, it's a bird's nest. Look, there are 3 birds. Well, baby birds. What do you call it? They're not chicks, are they? But that's for chicken. But anyway. So 3 baby birds there, and the mama bird's giving them a worm. And there's a butterfly. Always the symbol of renewal, of rebirth. So here, once you make that step to acknowledge your emotions, working with your opening your heart, working with your emotions, stop labeling yourself with your emotions, then you have the potential to have this new life, to have this. It's a promise from spirit, from the universe, that a new you, a stronger, more balanced, emotionally and logically, will emerge. So pile number 2, here it's you being more secure, because this is about security. And I was telling you earlier that when I started delving deeper on finding out more about myself, discovering things I was unconscious of, and then being able to heal it, it makes me feel secure inside. And you're building a stronger foundation of who you are when you finally acknowledge your emotions and you let it work for you. You use it as a compass instead of just being detached or sweeping your emotions under the rug and not acknowledging it at all. So with that, pile number 2, we'll now get into your oracle cards. So for the happy little thing card, we picked cooking. So cute. At least the cat there also cooking together with his human. But anyway, the advice for you, well, can be literal, as I've said in pile number 1 for their own oracle card, but it's more of cooking, exploring creative arts. In the guidebook, it described the fridge as the palette, then the tongue is the critic, and then this is the canvas. Well, and then you're putting the ingredients there. So, but the card essentially, well, if you want to cook, go ahead. It encourages you to explore creative pursuits that you can better channel or work through your feelings. Because as I've mentioned, this pile earlier, some of you maybe unconsciously had to express your feelings, maybe with the way you dress, the music that you listen to, but you're not really openly, at least within yourself, acknowledging your emotions. But this card is for you to, is encouraging you to explore more as a way, as well, aside from that simple thing about labeling that I was talking about. You can express your emotions through more creative pursuit, like music, for example. When you feel sad, you can listen to a sad song, or when you feel happy, you want to channel happiness, you can listen to an upbeat song. So maybe, for example, I'm using music as an example. As you listen to music, it makes you, and as you feel the emotions through music, it makes you feel more comfortable also with that emotions. And as we relate to the lyrics of the song, the tone of the song, then after the song, at least the emotions somehow were processed through those lyrics, through the tone, through that song in general. Then that's a simple step for you to be able to acknowledge your emotions as well, what you feel, and then you channel it through creative pursuit. You can even do it through art. You can go like to a museum, visit some maybe a painting would evoke a particular emotion in you, and then would help you process it. Or you can do dancing, but you get my drift. Creative pursuits can help us better channel and understand our emotions actually. So that's for your happy little thing. And then for your last card from the Message of the Heart of the Divine Oracle deck, you got, since YouTube has a thing for nudity, so I had to put that. Anyway, it's Calling Courage. And I'll read the guidebook description for you. Okay. So so often we hide from our fears instead of going toward them. but this only gives more power to that which we fear. The suppression of fear creates control, anger, and division within and without. Little do we know that on the other side of the gate of fear are our greatest potentials, highest callings, and opportunities for more love and prosperity. This card is a message that there are fears that you are ready to face in your life, for your soul is ready to grow beyond what has known into greater freedom and expanse. Whether your fear is the fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of being seen, fear of abandonment, rejection, or all of the above, you are a brave soul destined to heal through your fears. Accept that your fears exist to show you where your soul needs to grow. They are great big guideposts on your path, calling you toward them. Now is not the time to hide from fear. The more resistance you have towards your fears, the more you're letting fear seduce you into doubt and insecurity. Break through any resistance and transmute fear into courage. Courage lives in your heart, brave one. It is born from your mighty love. Stay in your heart as you face what scares you. Hold compassion for yourself and celebrate every small or big fear you face with your lion heart. You are courageous and can do anything. That was really a beautiful message from the Oracle of the Message of the Heart of the Divine. And when this pile was intuitively picked as and I pulled this out as the last card, like I was struck with the synchronicity of all of your cards actually. So as I was saying, so fear is a negative emotion in particular, but there are other negative emotions that, as the guidebook has mentioned and as I have been telling, that you can use as your allies, that you can use as your compass. Accept that fear, accept that insecurity or whatever negative emotions, and don't use it to label yourself. And then they will become your biggest guidepost to your biggest transformation yet. Destroyer, the Queen of Cups, and the Ten of Cups. Remember that the Destroyer actually gives me Scorpio vibes, platonic vibes in a way. So don't be afraid to take that leap of faith onto your emotional side, aka also spiritual side, and finally claim the 10 cups of yours this year. I mean, in 2023. It's really an exciting card, huh? So that's it for my pile number 2. If you like the reading, please press the like button, and you can also press subscribe to get notified of the future readings in this channel. So see you on your next story. Hi, pile number 3. So earlier you chose the green Aventurine. So it's a beautiful crystal, as you can see, and we can place it here. So before I start your pick a pile reading, I just want to mention how this works, the format of the reading. First is that I'll describe who you are at present, what are your qualities, and then after that, the second portion will be the potential qualities that you can develop in 2023. What more can you improve with regards to yourself? And then it's followed by what is that unknown inner obstacle that you were previously unaware of. So because we'll be aware of it during this reading, that you can overcome in 2023, and how can you overcome? What do you need to know? What do you need to do to overcome these previously unknown obstacles in 2023? And last, I'm going to pull out some oracle cards as an extra advice for your pal. So with that, let's start. So for who you are at the moment, I pulled one archetype card for you, and this archetype card is Mentor. So as I've reminded in the previous files, normally I go by the description and the depiction in the card. But I can also read the light attribute and the shadow attributes. But as always, pick what resonates and then leave the rest. So for the light attribute, passing on wisdom and refining a student's character. And then for the shadow attributes, inability to allow the student to move on to the role of master, imparting false instruction. So we're gonna put that here first. Okay. And then I pulled one Star Child Tarot for your pile number 3. And your Star Child Tarot is Temperance, Sagittarius energy. It's ruled by Sagittarius, sign of Sagittarius. So with that one, you can see here. So pile number 3, you are you can be described as someone who is often coming with new ideas, someone who's innovative in your ways of thinking. You can be a visionary. You can also be bold or straightforward. And when you're communicating with someone, actually, you can be forceful. You can be direct, or for some of you, you can be downright aggressive. And yes, for some, you can also be impatient. But you're not afraid to communicate. That's the gist of it. And with the green Aventurine here, it also depicts as someone who has balanced energy. So balance yin and yang, male and female energy. So a well-balanced individual in that aspect, in touch with your logic and then emotions at the same time. And with the mentor, it can be a literal mentor actually. You can be someone, because you flip it around, because as a mentor, you also need to know wisdom, to know what to impart. So getting some Sagittarian vibes here, that you love learning, or at least the air signs too, some air signs, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. You love learning. You like learning new things. You're naturally curious about how things work and why things work the way they do. And I can also see here, well, with the mentor, bigger picture, philosophical bigger picture, visionary, higher learning, and becoming open-minded, kinda idealistic also. But I can also see here that sometimes you can get impatient because you have this idea. You can see the big picture in your head, that you can get impatient with going to that direction on what you started, and sometimes you might struggle a bit in having this big picture and sustaining that momentum to go to that big picture. And since Aventurine is also a stone of good luck, yes, you are actually a naturally lucky person. Good opportunities and abundance actually comes to you, especially when you are vibrating positive vibes. And for you, you get such positive vibes. One of the ways that you get such positive vibes is becoming a mentor, like imparting what you know to others. Gives somehow, it makes you feel that that the purpose of that knowledge you acquired can also be meaningful when you share it to other people. So when you share what you know. And I can see you actually, as I've said earlier, someone good at conceptualizing, formalizing ideas, looking at the big picture, giving directions or leading others to a particular direction in a way. And the Temperance card here, which as I've said earlier, ruled by Sagittarius. Um, Here, you can look at the cups here. There are 2 cups. Let me get this one. And very balanced. So, actually, the snake here reminds me of the snake in the Garden of Eden, which tempted Eve. So, more of Eve to eat that fruit that, well, not technically not an apple, but depicted as an apple, but a fruit to acquire knowledge. So it's about knowledge, knowing, and knowing. So for you, you are actually good at in applying that to the picture on how to describe you, pile number 3. You are since you're unafraid to explore options, as I've said earlier, you're actually good at finding solutions. Though you can be directful, but since you're not afraid to explore, you can find normally good solutions. I mean, you can arrive at a mutually acceptable solution for example, for a group setting, and then you're good at cooperating with others, bearing in mind balancing the different interests involved, and at the same time adapting to the situation. Because when you are unafraid to explore something new, new ideas, can be new environment as well, that actually in a flip side makes you become more adaptable. So adaptable to a situation. So although because of that, you may have a tendency to be too much adaptable, that you forget to establish your own boundaries here, as I can see. Excuse me. So I'll put that here. So with that, let's proceed now with your next card, the next pile, which will describe what potential qualities you have that you can develop in 2023. So with that, I'm just gonna adjust the camera here so I'll have more space for the card. For your archetype card, I pulled Engineer. So as I've said, there are the light attributes and the shadow attributes in the archetype cards, but you take what resonates for you. I normally go by the description or by the depiction in the card. So for the light attributes, ability to give creative energy, a practical expression. Talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas. And then for the shadow attribute, reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences. So let's put it here. Can see it better. Yep. Or I'll adjust my camera further. I think that's better. There you go. So for your Star Child Tarot, for the potential qualities that you can develop in 2023, you have 5 of Swords. Look at this. So let's put it here. So with this, you have the potential in 2023, pile number 3, to become more grounded, more organized, orderly, or you have more rules, as I've said, because you have a tendency to forget to establish your own boundaries in general. So with that one, potentially, because as I've said, visionary, bigger picture, so you have the potential to be more grounded. So your solutions now can be taken on that big picture that you have, how to get there step by step, being practical with your vision, with the solutions, with your vision. What can you do every day, for example, to get closer to that big vision that you have, to finish what you started, to get to that direction that you want. And this can also translate to being able to apply your knowledge, your wisdom into something that is concrete, that has a as the word says here, as something that gives a practical expression. So you can give birth to, when I say give birth, like of course not literally, but but again, create something tangible with what you know. That's another interpretation of this one. So you can apply it to creating solutions, as I've said, that you can use on a day-to-day basis. So because currently, as I've said, you have this big picture, big vision, theoretical level. Actually, while I was meditating in this situation actually reminded me of when we were in when I was in law school. Some of my schoolmates would actually complain that some of our professors who are just who are not just, but who decided to stay in the academe, they are they can be too theoretical or purely academic in their approach to teaching, that they don't teach actually how to apply what those legal concepts, those laws that we've learned into actual legal practice. I remember that especially when I became a lawyer, that some of my professors actually, because they are too much focused on the research part, on the publication, which is nothing wrong, that's their focus. And on the other hand, we do have professors in law school who are actual practitioners. So these are our professors who normally conduct classes after work hours. So night classes. But anyway, going to that, because their main job is actually to practice, law practice. And they just, some of them, outright admitted, they teach this to release stress. So poor students. But anyway, so going back to my example. So these professors of ours in law school who are primarily legal practitioners, yes, they know the street smarts or some sort, at least in the legal world, how to apply the application of what we're doing. But students now complain on the other side that this professor doesn't know how to teach properly what they know, what they apply in practice. So, pros and cons of two situations. So, applying that mentor-engineer dynamics onto you, pal number 3, is that you have the potential now to integrate the two. You have that potential to not only see the bigger picture, to see the theories, to have come up with good ideas, but how to apply it, how to integrate it, making you become more balanced actually, in some way, not just within you, but in your external world, in a way, in the application of what you know, and then giving it life to something tangible, to something practical that can be beneficial, especially on a day-to-day basis, step by step. Some creative solutions, as I've said, resolutions regarding dilemmas here. And with that, you'll be learning how to pay attention to small details as well, so that you can get to that big picture that you want. And because you also know how to apply. Because as they say, that the journey of 1,000 miles start with a single step. So step by step by step, to achieve your big picture, your big vision. You don't get impatient because you know what to do. You know how to apply. You know how to go there from one point to another. And with the Five of Swords, on the other hand, let's see, I want to bring it closer. Fives are normally about changes, and swords are normally about communication. But this is ruled by the sign of Scorpio with the element of air. Then normally in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, you can see a depiction of different people there. There's a conflict, an argument of some sort, some battle. So with that, and with this depiction of the Five of Swords in the Star Child Tarot, which actually falls under the Temperance card here in the arrangement of your pile, you can see here that This Five of Swords is alone, unlike in the traditional Rider-Waite where there's some people involved in the conflicts. She's alone, but she doesn't care. She's so confident, so fiery. And there are swords around her, but look at the swords. It didn't pierce her at all. Wasn't able to touch her at all. So with that, how that can be applied for you to grow potentially to be develop something, some better qualities for you, is for you to, since I have said earlier that since you are very good at cooperating with other people, you have a tendency to compromise, which is not good. Which is not bad. That's what I meant at all. But too much, again, too much of the same, too much always compromising, is not healthy. There are just some things that you cannot compromise at all. There are some ideas that you believe that you have to believe with conviction, that you cannot negotiate, or what you call in the legal word, non-negotiables. You have your non-negotiables, ideas, terms, beliefs that you cannot compromise at all. And you have to learn, pile number 3, that when you choose to believe in your when you choose to believe in your ideas with conviction, you don't choose sides. You don't choose sides. What you do is you take a stand instead, like this confident woman. But this is just a depiction in the tarot. Can apply, of course, to both male and female, pile number 3. So as I was saying, you don't choose sides, you take a stand. And when you take a stand, especially when you are communicating to others, because this is about communication, normally that's the Suit of Swords, then even when you don't agree to others, stand confident in your own convictions. And when you don't agree to others, that's okay. That's actually okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But what you can do instead, because you don't choose sides, you take a stand, is that you can embrace others' beliefs, other sides, by just simply choosing to listen. Listen to them. And then when you listen to their side, when you listen to their needs, you acknowledge it. And then while you acknowledge it respectfully, you can then state your own stand. And in that way, you are actually creating a clear boundary. See, a clear boundary for yourself and for others too, so that they can respect your ideas, your beliefs, and at the same time, you are showing that by acknowledging and by listening to their own, that you respect also their ideas, their beliefs, their side, while maintaining your own boundaries. So you have that potential of establishing your own boundaries better with other people in 2023. With that, so let's put it here. So for the next part of the reading, I'm gonna pull a dark mirror oracle to show you what were those unaware, unknown inner obstacle that you have that you can overcome in 2023. So from this one, you can arrive at this one. You can develop these qualities to improve yourself. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with you, but we're all working works in progress, if I said it correctly. So how can you further develop? So with that, for your dark mirror oracle, your previously unknown obstacle that you are unaware of that you can overcome in 2023 is sacrifice. Really, when I pulled your card, I'm really amazed at the synchronicity while I was distributing the card per pile. Really amazed. But anyway, and how it all connects. So you can see here. And I can read the guidebook description. Let me just get it. So, let's see. For this one, sacrifice. The sentence that describes it in the guidebook is that even if I have to break apart, as long as it serves a purpose. So the visuals of this card would show a beautiful female knight wears heavy armor. She holds a blade in front of her. That blade. A blade of light slices across her face, showing the deadly seriousness of her stare, the mirror of her resolve. In Going Dark, in the description in the deck, the description states this way. And the description after, I will interpret it to integrate it with this, with your pile number 3. In the deck guidebook, it states, there is a strong power in sacrifice. Our fears, our hopes, they are all chains to a small world. Our sense of self is a small, petty creature of uncertain resolve and shaky horizons. With sacrifice, we renounce our sense of self. We accept to be lost. We accept to be shaken and cut and bruised and hurt and burdened and locked and stricken and despised and gossiped and betrayed and be misunderstood and be left alone. To rot, to die. With just words of thanks, while the world go on over our broken dreams. But when we drown our sense of self to sacrifice, we are also a greater person. We are screaming, I exist. I make the difference. We accepted a price to pay. We used our blood and tears as currency. That gives us a right to stand tall. I really love the description in the Dark Mirror Oracle. If you've watched my previous pile, you know that this is actually one of my favorite Oracle cards, Oracle deck in my collection actually. And I'll put that there. That Dark Oracle card that I pulled for you, actually pile number 3. That one is the word in this, actually, as I've said, which, you know, you have an idea, the word sacrifice in itself. Every time you sacrifice an idea, you compromise, because when you compromise, it's a give and take. You also give something of yourself to take something, but there's an exchange. There's nothing wrong again, but if it's too much, that's where it goes wrong. And again, aside from that too much, there are some things in life, even in contracts, when we draft contracts, for example, for companies, for individuals, there are non-negotiable contracts. The rest can be negotiated, but there are some provisions, some terms that cannot be negotiated. And the same goes in life. There are some things in life that are and that should be non-negotiable. Because if you're not standing your ground and you lose this non-negotiable, when you don't hold on to conviction, then you lose yourself further and further. You pay for it with blood, with tears, figuratively, hopefully. So here, you have to prevent that tendency of yourself to sacrifice your non-negotiables just to get to common mutual ground with others. Did I teach you earlier, at least here, not teach, but mention, rather an example on how you can stand your ground in small steps and not taking from others, actually, when you do that. And there, as I've said, there are some things in life that should be non-negotiable, that you have to hold on to with conviction, that you have to anchor yourself into. That's your anchor. That's that's the that's the constant in your life that you cannot choose to sacrifice. And that actually, you know what that is? I can tell you. You should not, what should be uncompromisable, not only for you, pal number 3, but actually for everyone in this world, is you unconditionally loving yourself above all others. That's the truth. And because, as I've said, if you've watched my previous vlogs on self-love, your number one priority in this life, you are created to prioritize yourself. You are created for yourself. You are not created in this earth for other people. No, you are created for yourself. You have to understand that. And I don't want to delve deeper on the more theoretical, philosophical discussion of that, but you can just refer to my previous vlogs if you're interested, because we're talking about you, pal number 3 here. But what I am getting here is that, pal number 3, you should be your number one priority. Yourself should be your number one priority among all else. And that's your non-negotiable. What you need to know. That's what you need to know. Actually, is because when you make yourself your number one priority, that's when you start learning how to love yourself unconditionally. And that's the start, actually, for you to be truly happy. Because you cannot sacrifice yourself for others' happiness. No, that's not correct. That's not why you were created in this earth. But before going into that, because I'm already actually going into some of the probable ways to overcome that, let's get to your Akashic Tarot cards, which I picked for you, which how can you overcome this somehow, in a way, I could call it self-sabotaging belief in a way. So I picked 2 cards for pile number 3. So the first card is One of Scrolls on the track. You can see here. Actually, I wasn't able to read the name. Eastbound. Oh, east, northwest. So those are the directions. So there's a man here. You can see it with 1 step already on the train. He's holding a document, and with his suitcase boarding, just 1 glance at the past, but already boarding with glance at the scene before boarding. And the train is ready to move with that smoke going on. So let's put it here. I do get a bit woozy for that. And then the other Akashic Tarot is 5 of Roses, the Garden. So you can see here, for this one, by the way, this scrolls in the Akashic Tarot refers to swords. So this is the Ace of Swords in the Rider-Waite Tarot. And for the 5 of Roses, the suits of roses and the Akashic Tarot represents cups, emotions. So this is the 5 of Cups in the traditional Rider-Waite, but this is depicted as the 5 of Roses, the Garden. So I'll put it here first and get on first with this card. So what's your how to overcome? What do you need to know? What do you need to do to overcome this previously unknown inner obstacle that you have to achieve these potential qualities in 2023? Is the Ace of Scrolls. So here, it's about deciding at this moment if you will board the train or not. Can be in between 2 worlds here because this train is already leaving. So it's about you. Ace of Swords is actually that big sword in the Rider-Waite with a gleaming, and swords are about communication. So it actually speaks about your truth. It's a big yes card actually. So with that, it's just saying that the truth will set you free. Your inner truth will set you free. And your inner truth is about you, truth, is actually intertwined with love. One cannot exist without the other. So, but anyway, that's too more philosophical. But going back to this one, you have to go find your inner truth here. Who are you? What are the most important things for you when it comes to being you? And you can start being able to answer this question as you unconditionally love yourself, because you are taking the time to get to know yourself. You are being patient with your mistakes. And when I say mistakes, with the quote unquote quotation marks, because for me, mistakes are not something that you should dread, that you should berate yourself with. Those are just ways for you to finally level up, to evolve, to become someone better. So you don't punish yourself for committing mistakes, actually, in the sense, especially when those mistakes, well, actually, there's no excuse. Should not punish yourself for these mistakes, because as long as you're alive, you can always learn from those mistakes. And because mistakes are actually learning experiences for people in this world. But going back to this one, I veered away. I do have a tendency to that. So going back, this means, as I've said earlier, you have to find your inner truth. What is that? And to find your inner truth, you anchor yourself first and foremost to that truth that you are a being of, you come from the source, the unconditional, the foremost unconditional love in the universe. It's God, or you, source, or universe, spirit, whatever beliefs that you adhere to. And from that source of unconditional love, you are also a being of unconditional love within you. And that unconditional love starts within yourself. So that is your non-negotiable truth. And that you should not and cannot sacrifice for others, because you're not created by source, by spirit, by God in this world to make others happy. No. Because He is unconditional love. He unconditionally loves you, or she unconditionally loves you. The universe unconditionally loves you. So that unconditional love wants normally true happiness for others. So that's you, true happiness for you. So the universe just wants you to be free and happy. And that starts with unconditionally loving yourself, file number 3. So with that, on how to make it, from this big picture vision that I'm telling, how can I give you concrete steps now to implement this, to practice unconditional self-love? One of the more practical example that I can give in a simple day-to-day scenario. Let's say you're working too hard, well, or just working, and then you want to take a break. So you go downstairs, take the elevator from the building, and then you go to a convenience store, you buy some snacks for yourself during this break that you're taking. Normally, you would gravitate towards that bag of chips. Maybe there's a good donut or some sweets, or maybe a soda that can power you up. But if you love yourself unconditionally, if you become a parent to yourself who wants the best for his child, which is you, your inner child, or yourself, that's how you parent yourself. You want the best physically, emotionally, mentally. As a parent, what would you buy for yourself? Because you want yourself to be nourished, to be the best physically, mentally, you would choose to buy that apple or orange, or maybe get a carton of milk for you to have for your snacks instead of those unhealthy food literally lining the convenience store. I speak from experience. So you start making that small choices right now. Instead of buying that bag of chips, you get that apple, you get that banana, you get that fruit, for example, or the seedless grapes. I'm talking from experience. I'm really talking from experience. With those small steps, actually, you are starting to unconditionally love yourself. Or another concrete example, maybe you had a strenuous work week. So when Friday night comes out, like, you just want to rest instead of going out, and you probably did that Friday night overtime as well. So here comes Saturday, and probably A friend, no, let's make it a sibling. A sibling has a birthday. Let's make it lunch on Saturday because you'd have to wake up early to prepare for that. So under the circumstances, you would think that it would be rude for you to snub your own sibling in order for you to get rest, that much needed rest, because it's his birthday. So you'd sacrifice that further rest and just tell them, yeah, I'll just rest the next day. But that's not what you primarily wanted to do. That's not what your body needs for you to have. So if you parent yourself, if you want yourself to be unconditionally nourished, physically, mentally, emotionally, you would choose yourself first. You would choose to let go of that mindset of pleasing others if you're really being rude to your sibling, because the best choice for you is to get that much needed rest. It's an example. So there's nothing wrong in loving yourself first, because if you go to that birthday party tired and depleted, most likely a part of you, if not the most, but a part of you will just do it out of a sense of obligation, quote unquote obligation, because you will feel that you will have that feeling, some of you a bit resentful, but because you were planning that date with your bedroom so you can just sleep, snuggle inside the comforter, and I love snuggling inside, but anyway, so and that just sleeping comfortably, getting that much needed rest, because you will feel that resentment because you ignored your body signal stating for you, your emotions and body stating for you, signaling you to get that rest first. So your energy is depleted. And you must also know, that's why I said quote unquote obligation, that no one is entitled to anything from anyone in this world. That's actually one of the truths that most people should learn. We are all created here for ourselves, and everything that we have here in the external world is actually a reflection of how we work on ourselves from within, how true we are to ourselves. Because as I've said, being true to ourselves is intertwined also with loving ourselves unconditionally. And imagine, I like saying this actually in my vlog, it's a depiction of a heaven and earth scenario where each self-realized individuals who unconditionally love themselves walking on this earth, because they have everything that they need within themselves. They're minding their own business. They are being abundant on their own without stepping on other people's toes, because there's enough abundance for everyone else to go here. That's really paradise on earth, isn't it? And that's what we are born to do. To love ourselves, to pursue true happiness for ourselves. And besides, if your sibling unconditionally loves you, he won't mind if you get that much needed rest, actually. If I flip it the other way around, if your sibling is also someone who unconditionally loves himself, and because he unconditionally loves himself, he knows unconditional love within, he also knows how to give unconditional love. So same with you. When you unconditionally love yourself, you also know how to give unconditional love to others eventually, because you know what to give, or you cannot give what you don't have. Flip it that way. So with that, let's get to the Five of Roses. The Five of Roses in the traditional Rider-Waite, as I've mentioned, is the Five of Cups. And in the Five of Cups, actually, there's a depiction there of someone crying over or mourning or miserable over two spilled cups in front of him and not seeing the five cups behind him. That's the same here in the Five of Roses. But the Akashic Tarot flipped actually a bit the depiction in the Rider-Waite, traditional Rider-Waite. And I'm gonna go with this description though. When you actually stand up for yourself, Spirit, the universe, God will assure you that it is not as bad as you think. Because, well, also applying the traditional Rider-Waite depiction, you tend to not see the blessings around you in that aspect. You chose to cry over those spilled cups, 2 cups, but tend to ignore the bigger 3 cups, the bigger blessings out there. So when you choose to finally stand up for yourself, when you start choosing those to do those small steps, the world will not react as bad as you think. When you start in those small steps, because those small steps will actually result into bigger results. Meaning, once you've taken those steps to establish your boundaries to others, because you are respecting your own boundaries, others will also start respecting your boundaries too. And you actually in turn will become more respectful of others' boundaries as well. It's like a butterfly or a give and a take somehow of an exchange. You give to the world what's in within you, so that's how the world treats you back in a way scenario. And in this picture, you can see actually the children here. They are happily, this little guy here is using a slingshot. Hopefully it doesn't injure someone. But anyway, and this little girl here actually is looking at the butterfly. Each of them are playing, doing their own thing. But they are peacefully coexisting in this beautiful garden. So this card actually invites you first, because this is cups, so emotions too. Just fill your own cup of love. Do what you love. Do it for yourself. And actually, with those things, you can peacefully coexist with the outside world. You will slowly transform your outside world once you start also pouring that cup of self-love within you to yourself. So, choosing to love yourself actually, as I've mentioned, starts with small steps. Same with this one. You, every day, every hour, every minute, you have a choice. You can make that choice to choose you, to choose yourself. And when you choose yourself, as I've mentioned, those small steps will actually become bigger and bigger and will transform all areas of your life eventually. Because this priority, yourself as a priority, you yourself, this is and this should be your non-negotiable in this life. So unconditional self-love. And that, with those small steps, every day in making a choices, choosing you first and foremost without sacrificing your own needs, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, that's how you can be a more self-actualized, more balanced individual in this year. This 2023, well, coming 2023, we have a few days before the new year, pile number 3. So with that, I also pulled one cats and dogs card. I'm sorry, that's the cats and dogs actually. The cats and dogs that I pulled for you from the Happy Little Things Oracle. As you can see here, while I was meditating on your pile, see here, when you put it side by side, this one. Cats and dogs, normally they fight, right? But look at this, they're happy together. It's a mess, yes, but what this picture actually depicts is peaceful coexistence by being your own self. The dog being, well, at least the cat normally do like fish. Being their whole selves. And they are peacefully coexisting together, cats and dogs. They're not like raining cats and dogs as in the idiom, like they're quarreling and all. But just being peaceful and happy on their own skin, being their own self, pursuing what they want. So this is similar to that, the whole message of the pile, your pile number 3, that each of you should be true to yourself. Don't be afraid to establish your own boundaries towards others, to establish your non-negotiable and make it known to other people. With that, for your message from the Heart of the Divine Oracle, I pulled this card. And It's a good thing also actually that I don't do the actual shuffling and then picking a video when I pick the card, because I've read that YouTube now has strict rules on nudity. They would ban videos with that, so I had to prepare this post-it to cover some nude portions of the card. So for this one, you got your heart's expression. And I will read the guidebook description for you. Hold on, I'll just flip to the page and then get your card here. So for your guidebook description, it states, Radiant being, have you forgotten that you're an artist? You don't have to be a trained or esteemed artist by societal standards to live a life of abundant creative expression. All life is art, and you are art. The way a flower blooms is art. The sunset is art, as is the bounty prepared for your family at dinner. Even the soft sound of the water streaming from your shower. Expressing yourself creatively is the most natural way for you to be. Just like it is for nature, because you too are nature. When you dismiss your creative urges to dance, to sing, to paint, to craft, or however the pulse of life moves through you, you are suppressing the magic of nature's expression as it flows through your being. Creativity outside of production isn't always prioritized or celebrated in our current culture. But in order to create heaven on earth, we must be creating freely, without expectations or limits, just purely as the energy flows through our heart. Expressing yourself through your heart is your most powerful purpose of this life. A sacred act that radically transforms realities and heals. Allow life to move through you and inspire you to create, beloved. You are the rainbow. You are cosmic shapes and an orchestra of healing tones. Let the magic of your heart express itself in free, playful, divine expression. This is really actually a very beautiful card. And you can see there's a peacock here. And peacock is proud to display its feathers, right? And look at her, well, can't see it with the pose, but she's dancing with abandon, naked. But I'm not telling you to dance naked with abandon, if that's your preference, whatever floats your boat. But the message here is that be free to express yourself. As the pile have been saying here, or suggesting this oracle card, aside from those small steps that I've mentioned earlier, another way for you to know yourself better, to express your true self better, is to be creative when you express your truth, when you stand your ground. How can you be creative in expressing your truth? One of the ways that I like actually is, for example, at least for me, you can sing your favorite song that empowers you to love yourself better. For me, when I need a power me up song, when, of course, I'm not like 100% like happy, like there's no one like that. We're humans. We have our highs and downs, ups and downs rather. So when I need that, one of my power me up song or love myself better song is from The Greatest Showman. I love that movie. Lots of good songs. But for my power me up, this is Me and A Million Dreams. Like, those are a couple, but I love lots of songs from that movie as well. And When I hear that, it moves me so much to love myself better, to embrace myself better. Especially this is me, that song. So powerful. So when I want to power up, when I want to stand up for my truth, I keep those songs on loop, among other songs actually. But that's just an example of what you can do in a practical day-to-day scenario. Something you can do to keep you inspired and loving yourself more. So do actions that help you express yourself, your heart, playfully, because this is what she's to, playing with abandon, having fun, and freely. Don't forget, and of course, first and foremost, don't forget to have fun, to be joyful. That's an important aspect of unconditional self-love. So that's it for file number 3. If you like the reading now, you can please press the like button, and you can also press the subscribe button if you want to get notified of future readings like this one. So see you on your next story.